Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into a book that really shook things up for a lot of people thinking about work and, well, life itself. Tim Ferriss's The 4-Hour Workweek. So, our plan here is to really unpack the core ideas, the sort of surprising bits, and the practical stuff straight from Ferriss himself. Think of it as your shortcut to understanding a book that honestly challenges a lot of how we normally think about careers, jobs, the daily grind. It's not just a summary. It's about pulling out those nuggets that could genuinely shift how you see things.
Yeah, and that's really why it hit such a nerve and why it still does. I think the basic question is so bold, isn't it?
Yeah.
What if you could work way less and actually live way more?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going deeper than just the chapter headings here, trying to get at the philosophy underneath it all, and also, the actual steps he suggests you can take.
Yeah. Okay, let's start there then with that core philosophy shift. Because Ferriss really does kick things off by, well, questioning pretty much everything we assume about work. He introduces this concept right at the start, chapter 1 actually, the new rich, and it's not rich in the way we usually think, like piles of cash. It's different, isn't it?
Completely different. For Ferriss, the new rich, the NR, they value time and mobility, freedom to move, freedom to do. That's the real currency for them, often much more than just accumulating money or having that traditional job stability.
It's not about being lazy, though, right? He's very clear on that.
Oh, definitely not. It's about being incredibly intentional, like designing your life proactively instead of just reacting. And that warning this book is dangerous, subtitle. He means it.
How so?
Well, the idea is once you really get this concept, once you see this alternative way of structuring your life, that old 9 to 5, work till you're 65 plan,
Yeah.
it just doesn't look quite right anymore. It forces you to ask, what does wealth really mean to you?
That makes a lot of sense. And he keeps pushing this in chapter 2, rules that change the rules. He really goes after some sacred cows, like retirement being the ultimate goal, or this idea of work-life balance, or always waiting for the perfect time.
Yeah, he calls those assumptions into question.
And he has that one rule that always stands out. Doing the unrealistic is easier than doing the realistic, which, sounds completely backward at first listen.
It does sound counterintuitive, yeah.
Yeah.
But his argument isn't just rah-rah motivation. It's actually quite strategic. Think about it. If everyone's chasing the realistic goals, the competition there is insane.
Yeah.
But the unrealistic goals, fewer people are even trying. So paradoxically, there might be less competition, maybe even clearer paths, precisely because they seem so out there. It's about questioning those limits society kind of imposes on us.
So it's about breaking out of that default thinking, which leads into chapter 4, system reset being unreasonable. He's basically saying, okay, you've questioned the rules. Now you actually need to unlearn them. Reset your own defaults.
Exactly. It's one thing to understand it intellectually, quite another to actually change your ingrained behavior.
And he gives examples like wanting a fully remote job when maybe that wasn't common, or planning extended travel, or that classic example of earning dollars but spending in a cheaper currency like pesos or rupees, being, well, unreasonable by conventional standards.
And this brings up a really key question he implicitly asks.
Yeah.
How does being unreasonable actually get you these uncommon results?
Right.
His answer seems to be that by daring to ask for what seems unreasonable, by pushing those boundaries, you break free from the limitations that hold most people back. You open up possibilities that just weren't there before because you weren't even looking for them. You escaped the common path.
Okay, so mindset shifted, rules challenged, then Ferriss gets practical. He starts laying out the how-to, the actionable steps within his deal framework, right? Definition, elimination, automation, liberation.
That's the structure, yeah. Definition is about figuring out what you actually want and confronting fears.
Let's talk about that fear part. Chapter 3. Dodging bullets, fear setting versus goal setting. This is a really powerful idea he introduces. It's not just goal setting.
No, it's almost the opposite, or maybe the essential prerequisite. Instead of just focusing on the positive outcome, he forces you to confront the negative.
So you actually write down your worst fears about taking a certain action.
Yes, very specifically. Define the absolute worst that could happen. Then, crucially, assess the real probability, figure out what you could do to minimize the damage, and importantly, how reversible is it? Could you get back to where you are now if it all went wrong?
That's really systematic.
It is. And what's fascinating here is how it reframes the problem. It helps you realize that often it's the fear itself, this vague anxiety that's stopping you, not the actual potential failure. By dissecting the fear, you kind of shrink it down to size. You see that most worst cases are survivable or fixable. It gives you the clarity, maybe the courage to actually act.
Yeah, that's huge. Okay, so you've defined what you want and faced the fears. Then comes E for elimination. He has a chapter called The End of Time Management. Bold title.
They're very bold. And here he brings in two classic ideas, but gives them his own twist. The 80-20 principle.
Pareto's Law. Right, focus on the vital few things that give most of the results.
Exactly. But Ferriss applies it ruthlessly.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about prioritizing. It's about eliminating the 80% of tasks and inputs that yield minimal output. Just stop doing them.
And the other one? Parkinson's Law.
Parkinson's Law, yeah.
Yeah.
The old adage that work expands to fill the time allotted for its completion.
So if you have all week to do a report, it takes all week.
Precisely. So Ferriss flips it. He says, drastically shrink the time you allot. Give yourself 2 hours instead of a day. The deadline pressure forces focus and efficiency on only the most critical elements. It's about effectiveness, not just efficiency, doing less, but the right things. The minimum effective dose, he calls it.
Which leads right into Chapter 6, the low information diet. This sounds difficult. Turn off the news. Stop checking email constantly.
Huh. Yeah, it sounds like heresy in today's world, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But his point is that most information we consume isn't actionable. It's noise. It distracts us, creates anxiety, and ultimately prevents us from focusing on our actual goals.
So selective ignorance.
Pretty much. Be intentional about what information you let in. Is it relevant to what you need to do right now? If not, filter it out. He argues it's crucial for reclaiming focus and mental energy.
And still under elimination, Chapter 7, interrupting interruption and the art of refusal. This feels very practical, saying no.
Oh, incredibly practical.
Yeah.
We're so conditioned to say yes, to be available. Ferriss basically gives you permission to guard your time fiercely. He offers scripts, techniques for deflecting unnecessary meetings, managing phone calls efficiently.
Like batching calls or emails.
Exactly. Setting boundaries. Politely but firmly saying no to things that don't align with your priorities. It's about taking back control of your schedule and your attention, which he sees as, your most valuable resources.
Okay, so we've defined, we've eliminated, now we get to A for automation. This is where it starts to sound really like the 4-hour promise, maybe.
This is definitely a core part of it. Making money while you, aren't actively working.
Chapter 8, outsourcing life. This was pretty revolutionary when the book came out, the idea of using virtual assistants, VAs, for, everything.
Yeah, for many people it was mind-blowing. Delegate emails, scheduling, research, travel booking, even personal tasks sometimes. The principle is simple. If a task doesn't require your unique skills, or if it costs less to pay someone else per hour than your own time is worth, outsource it.
It forces you to value your time in a very concrete way.
Absolutely. And it's not just about offloading work. It's a mental shift. It forces you to get crystal clear on what only you can do versus what can be systematized and handed off. It's about leverage using other people's time and skills to free up yours for higher value activities, or just for living.
Which leads to Chapter 9, Income Autopilot, Finding a Muse. What exactly is a muse in his terms?
A muse is essentially a business, usually product-based, that is designed from the start to be low maintenance and highly automated. Something that generates income without requiring your constant day-to-day involvement.
So not trading time for money directly.
Precisely. He gives examples, like niche information products or physical products fulfilled by third parties. The key is it's designed to run largely on its own once set up.
But how do you know if an idea for a muse will actually work? That seems like the tricky part.
Right, and that's Chapter 10, Testing the Muse. This is crucial. He's huge on validation before you invest significant time or money. Don't just build it and hope they come.
So how do you test?
He talks about lean methods, things like setting up a simple landing page, describing the product, running some cheap Google ads to drive traffic to it, and seeing if people actually click buy, even if the product isn't fully ready yet. Split testing headlines, offers.
Like a minimum viable product, an MVP, but maybe even leaner, just testing the demand.
Exactly. It's about proving there's a market, validating your assumptions with real data, spending maybe just a few $100s before you commit thousands to development or inventory. Fail fast, fail cheap.
Okay, so you found a muse, tested it, automated its operations. What's the final step in automation? Chapter 11, MBA Management by Absence.
Yeah, the ultimate goal. Structuring the business so well, with clear rules, processes, and empowered people or systems that it runs effectively without you needing to be involved in the daily decisions.
So train people well, set the rules, then step back.
Pretty much. It sounds counterintuitive, but he argues that your absence can actually force the systems to become more robust and make the team more autonomous. If you've set it up right, the business should thrive, or at least run smoothly, even when you're not there. True delegation, true automation.
Which finally brings us to L liberation. This is where the lifestyle part really comes in, right? The freedom and mobility.
Exactly. All the previous steps, definition, elimination, automation, are designed to enable this liberation phase.
Chapter 12, Disappearing Act, How to Escape the Office. Practical tips for negotiating remote work.
Yes, very tactical. He suggests a phased approach. Don't just demand to work remotely. First, prove you can be more productive remotely on a trial basis, maybe 1 or 2 days a week. Build the case with data, then gradually ask for more flexibility, potentially leading to full location independence.
Makes sense. But what if the job is just not salvageable, not compatible with this lifestyle?
That's Chapter 13, Beyond Repair Killing Your Job. Sometimes the best move is to quit, but again, strategically.
Not just storming out.
Definitely not. It's about having a plan. Maybe your muse income replaces your salary first. It's about quitting smartly, professionally, leaving on good terms if possible, having your next step lined up.
Okay, so you've either engineered remote work or quit the old job. Now what? Chapter 14, Mini Retirements, Embracing the Mobile Lifestyle. This feels like the payoff.
This is a cornerstone of the whole philosophy.
Yeah.
Why cram all your living into the end of your life after retirement? Instead, sprinkle these mini retirements, could be 1 month, 6 months, a year, throughout your life.
Funded by the automated muse income.
Ideally, yes. Use these periods for travel, learning new skills, pursuing passions, things people usually put off until they're 65. Ferriss shares his own experiences, like learning tango in Argentina or kickboxing in Thailand. It's about distributing retirement throughout life.
It sounds amazing, but then he hits you with Chapter 15, Filling the Void. What happens when you actually get all this freedom? No boss, no schedule. What do you do?
Yeah, this is such an important, often overlooked point. The structure of a job, even if you dislike it, provides routine social interaction, maybe a sense of purpose. When that's gone, some people feel adrift, lost even.
So the freedom itself can be a challenge.
It absolutely can be. Ferriss acknowledges this existential vacuum. He talks about the need to consciously find new sources of meaning, maybe through contribution, learning, mastery, or tackling bigger projects. It's not just about escaping work, it's about designing what you're escaping to, finding fulfillment beyond just leisure.
And like any journey, there are mistakes to be made. Chapter 16, The Top 13 New Rich Mistakes.
Right, he shares common pitfalls, things like maybe outsourcing things too soon without understanding them, or micromanaging your outsourcers, or letting work creep back in and fill the void you just created.
So even freedom needs structure.
That's a key takeaway. You
Okay.
ditch the old rules, but you need to create new, self-imposed rules and boundaries to make the freedom work, to keep it sustainable and productive, not chaotic.
And then he wraps it all up. Chapter 17, the last chapter, An Invitation to Join the NR. Kind of final call to action.
Yeah, it's basically saying, look, stop waiting. Stop deferring your life. Here's a blueprint. Maybe not perfect for everyone, but a starting point. Take these ideas, experiment, start designing the life you actually want right now.
So bringing it all together, what's the big takeaway for you, the listener, from this deep dive? I mean, the 4-hour work week, it's more than just the title, isn't it? It really is a fundamental wake-up call.
Absolutely. It's a challenge to question everything you assume about work, money, time, and retirement. It's about empowerment, realizing you have more control than you think to design a life that truly fits you. It's less about hitting a specific number of hours and more about that radical reevaluation of what's truly important.
Yeah, prioritizing your life, not just your work.
Exactly. And maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. After hearing all this, based on Ferriss's ideas, what's just one unreasonable thing, or maybe one small, concrete step towards designing your life more intentionally that you feel curious about exploring now?
Yeah.
What's one little experiment you could run?
That's a great question to ponder. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Tim Ferriss's The 4-Hour Workweek. We really hope it sparks some ideas and encourages you to keep exploring ways to empower your own life.